Perfect. Thank you for coming to Singling in the Earful Yearning. First, we just want to say our thanks to ELO, Anastasia, John Murray, who's running this session for us, UCF for being the hosts, and we would like to have some fun with you today. What we're going to be doing is introducing a new program that we've developed called Singling. Singling is an open source program. You can get the beta version of this at github.com/eyoung/singling. We have a version 1.0 release planned for September of this year, September 2020. This program allows us to sonify lexicogrammatical structures of texts. So we do text-to-MIDI. We play them as MIDI-coded compositions, and it allows us to be able, we strive to be able to read and interpret the sounds that are produced with Singling, and we think of this as a kind of field of literacoustics, which would be a subfield of composition, rhetoric, poetics, maybe applied and comparative linguistics, genre and network studies, and so on. All the qualitative, digital, arts-based research side of data sonification, a practice broadly, though sparsely applied in sciences and engineering. This show is all about listening, hearing. We move from close hearing and reading off into aesthetics and arts-based practice as we move from the utility of this software to its artful applications in the context of collaborative performance, which is our style of collective inquiry at the Digital Literacy Center of the University of British Columbia. So just take a moment to introduce the Earful Yearning to you. We have Ephraim Young, who is our programmer of Singling. We have Esteban Morales, who has been a key to building the databases, Rachel Horst, who's been leading us in many of our aesthetic inquiries, Yuya Takeda, pulling it all together, and me, Kedrick James. Using the chat function of this Zoom call, please, we encourage you to share 100 character or less portions of text or code. Singling can work with any alphanumeric text you want to share with us, and or comments you wish to have us sonify. So we're going to give you a demo of Singling first, and then we're going to start playing your works. So we look forward to that interactive aspect of this demonstration. If you have a chance, post a poem, a short poem for us, and we'll also have Rachel read that aloud and show you our live stream mode when we type it as she reads. So please be encouraged to contribute to the chat function. We'll keep the audio muted during the performance part of this show, and we'll answer questions at the end of our open jam and join you on Discord after the session is over. So I'm going to move here and show you our program and what it looks like. So this here is what the program is, and you'll see here we have our base settings set up. I've already dumped some text. I'm going to start with some hexadecimal, just so you get a sense of the generic structure and working with a very basic random string. This was a glitch from an email auto reply, so we just thought we'd start with something quite random and give you a sense of how it sounds, so that we can get a little used to reading by listening, or literacoustics. So I'm just going to show you how this is. We've got the instrument. I'll leave it set at MIDI 001, which is the generic piano sound of MIDI. I'm going to shorten the note duration, and I'll put it down to, I guess, maybe 0.125 here. I'm going to expand the octave range and make it 10 full. The tempo's at 150 beats per minute. The fundamental frequency is at 100 hertz. We're, of course, working in character. So we're going to first demonstrate character, which allows you to just see pure form, and then we'll be introducing word level recognition, which allows us to work in scales, moving from character through different word classes, lexicogrammatical categories, up to sentences and paragraphs. Character allows us to choose between 3 different letter frequency systems. I'm going to play this in typesetters frequency just for a little old-fashioned. So here we go. This is what this will sound like. So that was a little bit of code. It's using an overtone series based on 100 hertz as the fundamental frequency. Now, just to give you a sense, we're each going to take our abstract for this particular show and render it in different ways. I think as you hear this one, you will be able to, now what I'm going to do is just load some settings here for this particular abstract, and we'll show you what this sounds like. This has, of course, some different transformation sets. So that was just all base settings you just heard. Now this includes a bunch of transformations of punctuation and characters, which allow us to set different aspects of the text. And we'll play this for you, and then we'll move on and show you different renditions of the same sort of academic genre of text. Okay, so that's a quick rendition with a simple little instrument playing along. I think we'll now move on and let the next of us take over. So I believe that's you. Yeah.
All right, let's switch the screen. I'll share my screen. Okay. All right. You see my singling? Yes. All right. So with my singling, I set it in a way to foreground nouns in the abstract. So for this, I changed the instrument that plays nouns to guitar, electric clean guitar, and because there are many nouns that are in the abstract that are longer than 7 characters, I specifically set up to play them with an overdriven guitar with a longer note duration. And the rest of the text is played with marimba. And I also inserted applause that plays for comma and period signs. It sounds like tss, 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 so that you can tell that where the end of the sentences are with some breaks with comma. And period has a slightly longer note duration so that you can tell the end of the sentence. All right, so it sounds like this. All right. And as Kedrick mentioned, Singling has a setting called stream mode. This allows the users to play the text, sonify the text as they type. So let me demonstrate this by putting some nouns from the abstract. There are some glitches with some text. So for example, when I type every time I type electronic literature organization, Singling plays the sustained sound indefinitely. All right. So the next Esteban is showing different setting.
Okay, thank you, Yuya. I'll now share my screen and my sound. So as you can tell from Yuya that was working at word level, we work with Princeton's WordNet to identify the lexicogrammatical categories that are kind of like the building blocks of our program. And then we started adding a bunch of stuff that works best for us. So for example, in this case, I'm working with adjectives. So as you can see in the transformations in the right, every word is going to place as a base, but adjectives are going to sound like orchestra strings, and they're going to sound at a much higher volume. Also, just so it's easier for us to read, you can hear all the commas and periods as a little woodblock, like a percussive sound that kind of helps you to follow along. So just listen to it. As you can tell, the highlighting function that it's supposed to tell you where you are. It's a little glitchy in my case because I'm working with node directions, so we're still working on it. But if you could hear as well, there are some variations between adjectives. Some sound a little different in different scales. And it's because we have worked to add sentiment analysis to our database by integrating Sentiment, which works in relation to WordNet. So just to show you a little bit, I'm playing these two words over and over with a simple piano that lasts the whole note. And you can tell how it changes from major chords to minor chords depending on the positive or negative connotation of the word. Great, that's everything for me. So now we'll pass it along to Efiam, our programmer and orchestra head.
Thank you, Esteban. So I'll be sharing my screen now and my audio. So for my section, I'll be using word length as my parameter, and depending on the length of the word, there will be changes to the attack and decay of the note. So that would be words that are longer than 5 letters long and less than 5 letters. I'll also be increasing or decreasing the pitch bend, which will, a longer word will have its pitch adjusted higher and a shorter word will have its pitch adjusted lower. And lastly, there are also instrument and note changes when a word length is set at a certain value. So that would be words that are 2 characters long, 3 characters long, or 4 characters long. And I'm also working with the abstract. So this is not what I want to show. This is the one. And here we go. And next I will be playing
Orchestra head.
Thank you. I tried very hard to get that role. And for my next piece, I'll be playing a poem by Emma Wilson from the UK. It's a poem I grabbed from Foamy, an online platform for poetry. The parameters are mostly unchanged, but the bass instrument is different. And I added some tempo and volume transformations when we hit a punctuation like a period or a comma, or when it's a noun. And this is a Giant's Causeway by Emma Wilson. Here we go. And that's it from me. Now we can go to Rachel, who will be showing us something very interesting.
All right, I will share my screen now. Here, let me just get this one going. Okay, so I'm going to show you our mute function. I took a look at the verbs in our abstract, and I wanted to highlight them. I took off the overtone series, so you'll just hear the verbs sounding upon the background of the other parts of speech, looking at the sort of the flow and the rhythm of the piece, as well as I added some punctuation transformations to get a sense of the rhythm. And I'm going to take us outside of Singling. There's a download MIDI function. So I've dragged that MIDI file into GarageBand, and I'm using a free plugin in GarageBand called the Tal Noisemaker. It's an analog synth emulator. which is free to use. It's really fun. A cool function of GarageBand or platforms like this is when you bring in the MIDI file, it opens it up into these layered tracks, and each track is a different lexicogrammatical instance of that verb. So we expanded on WordNet here. Let me just show you this table here. We expanded on WordNet's lex names. We call them lexicogrammatical categories. They're different categories of meaning. So for example, in the abstract, take has 15 different instances in which it shows up with different shades of meaning in different lexicogrammatical categories. Categories such as social categories like to carry out or take steps, the possession category, to take possession, motion category, to take somebody on a journey. So this gives you a sense of the richness of the layering and meaningfulness of the different words that are sounded. So I'm going to play you this. Yeah, well, I'll play you this and see what you think. So in GarageBand or a similar platform, you can start identifying the different layers of those lexicogrammatical categories and alter the sound of them, which is pretty cool. Okay, so now I'm going to, I played with this poem shared by Reg de Silva. I'm gonna paste that into my Singling platform here. And I'm going to take it off mute and listen to it in the overtone series. I'll play you that. And just to give you a flavor of what it sounds like on the same settings in GarageBand, I've uploaded it here. So this is what it sounds like. Totally different character, the different platforms that play. Okay, so now we are going to read, I'm going to read a poem shared by, I'll stop screen share. I'm going to read a poem shared by Andrew from the workshop yesterday, the GTR language workshop, super excellent, by the way. Here we go. Let me find the text. And as I read, the Earful Singling will type along with me, and so you'll hear it sounded as I'm reading. So I'm gonna read slowly so that they can keep up. Hang on one sec. Okay, are you all ready, folks? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we ready?
For this part, I'll share my screen
Great.
so everyone can kind of follow along.
Okay, here we go. For military remains. Cohabited a kind of human soup. In which the easy ban continually scattered. The people of higher frequency. Back then, if your law had been seen, across China's court, you couldn't have traveled. any people entering your shorter wavelength would just nanoseconds earlier have bounced off the immigrants right in front of your Mexico. You would have seen only glowing walls. In all directions. They were fantastic. Simple and lethal in color. Awesome. Nice
Sorry,
work.
there were some glitches along the way there on my end.
I think we should play it all together now and hear the difference once it's up. Go for it. 1, 2.
Thing of beauty. Okay, so maybe we can go and start our open combos. So we'll be taking texts from things you posted in the chat and trying them out. We'll try a couple of different duos, we'll try a trio, and then we'll go to a full court press jam style thing. So our first combination will be a little joint effort between, I believe, let's see, Yuya and Esteban, who will be performing a poem from Anna, and we'll get, there we go, sharing the text. How ready are you? Are you guys feeling you're ready?
Very
Yes.
ready.
Okay, sounds like you're ready to play. So we're gonna get to hear this. We'll just count down like a rocket ship. 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow, your text sounds great. Beautiful. Hopefully you get a little sense that we're trying to read along and develop. This is the artistic side of it, I guess. Part of it is finding different transformations for texts that allow us to listen to multiple texts and make comparisons and start to get a sense of the structure, flow, the density of meanings, the lengths of words, so the readability and all those kinds of qualities of a text. And so this is, we're still in our beta experimentation phase where we're finding those different combinations that appeal to us aesthetically so we can listen to multiple texts as a way of doing various kinds of inquiry and research. But this is where the fun gets going. So we have another duo to share with you. And this one will be between Ephraim and Rachel. And so I think we've got a text ready for you. I'm just going to check and see if we got that text. Thank you for sharing. Let's see, what do we got here? Slow. Okay, so I think we've got a text here. I'm not sure where the text comes from.
It's shared by Anna Nachar.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, great. Well, thank you. And so let's hear. I thought that was the last one. Okay, so we're going to hear that with Ephraim and Rachel. Are you both ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Yes.
Perfect. 4, 3, 2, 1, play.
Oh.
Not ready.
It's
No,
yours.
wait.
Wait.
Okay.
Something's happening here. Why is it?
Okay. Maybe we'll give you a moment and I'll play a little composition while you get ready.
Thanks.
Let's see what happens.
I'm ready now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well,
How are you doing, Ephraim?
too late.
Oh,
I'm ready now as well.
well, we're listening to something.
Yeah.
There we go. That was just a quick little interlude. Just because people have been mentioning John Cage in the chat, I thought that sounded a little bit like Rio Angie. You know that particular tune. Wonderful piece. Okay, I think both Ephraim and Rachel are ready. So let's hear Anna's piece. 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Anna. We will now take another piece of text, and I think we're going to play this as a trio. So this one is from Malta. Wow, there we go. Thank you very much. We're going to try a little bit of a variation on our usual theme for this one. So we're going to enter not all at once. And let's just put this over here. Maybe what I can do is I'll screen share for everybody. And oh boy, Taking a moment. So we'll just bring this up. And will somebody tell me, just while I put this together, what is our tempo for this one?
Oh.
75. And we'll be playing in 30-second notes, I believe.
Okay.
And we're going to, uh-oh. Well, having a bit of trouble with text here for a moment. So we will see if I can go grab this text again. As you can tell, we're still in the beta version of this, and we will see what we can pull off. Maybe I will get one of Yuya or Rachel to share, or not, to share their screens instead.
All right. Okay,
Thank
I can
you.
share my screen.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right.
Perfect.
Right. So 75 tempo, note duration 0.31. Yeah.
Cool. How's it going,
Ready?
Greg?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, great. So you'll start and I'll come in and then you, yeah. All right. 3, 2, 1.
We're hoping it will play. There we are. Little cacophony for us.
Hey.
All right. I think what we'll do now is just go grab any text we can find. I will move on to explore some of the GarageBand side of things, and let's see if we can just try a jam. So everybody is going to go grab a different bit of text from our chat function, and we will try one just ensemble piece, and then we'll open it up to questions and see if you have any good suggestions for us. Of course, we're still in the beta version of creating this program, so there's lots of more features we hope to do and bugs to fix yet, but anyway, it's great to have the opportunity to share this with you. So how's everybody doing? Are we feeling ready?
Give me 1 second and we're going to play for 2 minutes, right?
We are going to play for 2 minutes.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Okay, I'm now ready.
I'm ready too.
Ready?
FPM,
Ready?
your screen sharing?
I'll share my sound.
Karen.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, here we go. 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right. Well, thank you. That was great. If I get a chance, Peter, I'll put your text in and play it up. So thanks, everybody. If there are any questions that we can address right now, we'd love to. So maybe we can take a look, see if anybody wants to have us address any questions. We can also give you audio so that you can ask us live and direct. So let's see.
Looks like Dina has a question. I've unmuted you, Dina.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. That was wonderful. I'm wondering, when you finish your productions, where do you put those? How do you save them and make them available after the events?
I'll take a first shot at just saying that we sort of didn't demonstrate it, but there's an export function so that you can export a MIDI file. We can also save the parameters and text that are loaded into Singling, so we can just open something we've worked on before and drop new text in. And then when we're happy with what we're hearing, or there's something special we want to pay attention to, then we export it as a MIDI file, at which point we can make further adjustments, refine it for our listening, and save it as a waveform or FLAC file or one of those. So we kind of have three different.
I'm asking because John Barber has the radio, ELO, that broadcasts, internationally through the internet, and he's focusing on experimental sound, not music.
Right.
And so I know he'd be very interested in hearing this. He's in a meeting right now. We're trying to figure out if we're going to have classes face to face or online right now. So we're still struggling with that today, especially after the governor just made an announcement. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, it's wonderful work, and I'd love to broadcast it. And so let me know if you're interested in that, and I'll pass that on to John.
Oh, absolutely we are. That would be wonderful. Love to share it. I'm just going to answer, and then we'll let the others speak. But we've also wrestled with this same question of where music and where research ends and where music begins. And we can't escape the whole gestalt of listening to, especially with MIDI, it's a constraint of using MIDI that it has these preset instruments which carry a lot of baggage with them, and a lot of interpretive baggage that comes along if you're listening to a koto or a samisen, even when it's been artificially created with synthesis, sound synthesis. You're still called into that kind of milieu, that gestalt of listening. So a lot of what we've been trying to do is find parameters that push those MIDI instruments past all recognizability, or just go to pure waveform synthesis. So Yeah, that touches on something we've really tried to give a lot of thought to. We don't think of this necessarily as music, but we can't help that experience of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's interested in narrative that's not music, that's not visual, that's all sonic. So
Right.
that's a lot of what he does. And so this is wonderful. I love the work with the MIDI. Fantastic generative work.
Wonderful. Thank you for your question.
Kedrick, I've unmuted Anna. She's got a question, and then Ernesto is up after that.
Okay, great. Anna.
Go ahead.
Hey, hi. Hi, thank you again. The text I used comes from our panel and distance that was just before. So thank you very much for playing it. And my question is pretty simple. Are you planning any performances? Because if you do, I'm up for it. So please tell you plan performing as a group.
Yuya's already performing. Yes, of course. This has been interesting, negotiating remote performance and trying to practice and rehearse all at a distance from each other. Though many of us do play together, we've all kind of spent time in music studios and things. So the COVID has brought on trying to reacquaint ourselves with the creation of collaborative music and art when we can't actually have in-person gestures and you're navigating multiple screens and programs all at the same time. So anyway, it's a new learning curve and hopefully it wasn't too appalling, but we'd love to put you on our mail list and we'll definitely let you know when the next show comes up.
Ernesto, you got a question?
Oh, yes, I do. Can you hear me? Yes?
Yeah.
It's a sort of a technical question, I guess. Is there any pre-processing of the text itself? Like I asked this to Ephraim, and I understand that what's happening is that the parameters being compared against WordNet and sentiment, and I get that. But is there kind of is there a way in which a general read of sentiment of the entire text can be used for, let's say, apply a particular kind of scale to provide the same kind of sentiment through I guess that will be like pushing a little bit too much into music, which is probably not the aim that you're trying to is not what you're aiming. But I just wanted to know if there's pre-processing on the text, not on the databases, but the text itself, like the full corpus.
I can talk a bit about it.
Yeah.
The program is built on Java, so we're not really pre-processing the code or the text before we compile it. But we do parse the text, the input text, and we we run it through some algorithms based on the WordNet database. So is that what you were wondering about? Something like that?
Yeah. Like if there's like I was kind of like I was understanding the reading, like the individual reading by unit, right? Like the that I was getting it, and the idea of the stream, I think that's fantastic. But I was wondering if the whole of the text was actually also giving parameters based on specific characteristics. So I guess that's answering the question. Like you do have algorithms parsing the text before it's being played. So that's yeah, cool. Yeah. Also, that was fantastic, guys. Like it was amazing. Yay.
I think you give us an opportunity to mention that we took our database originally from Princeton's WordNet, but WordNet really is about synsets or synonym clusters, which is not fully what we're doing. So we just extracted their categories for different nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. But that really wasn't sufficient for what we wanted to do, and as far as literacoustics goes and the ability to read through sound. So we've been adding to that database like pronouns, prepositions, modals, articles, and all those kinds of different function word categories, because it allows us to bring out more of the rhythm and patterns and start to show different sonorities within text. And so I think your question's good. We are able to set fundamental frequency, which allows which determines which overtone series of notes will be played. And so it allows us to make better use of an overtone series and start to actually, as Esteban brought up, we've used various, we've ranked things like prepositions or modals so that they allow us to give a sense of the forcefulness of the rhetoric or a sense of the mood through the adjectives and descriptions and things like that, which add a very musical and or rhythmic quality to things when we go and use those as transformation parameters. So
I guess, sorry, this is the last one, promise. I don't want to take anyone's time. I guess that at some point someone mentioned readability, and readability is one of those things that you have to kind of like go over the entire text to determine how readable the text is. So I wonder if that is also, like the question was around that, like is something like readability, which, you know, like uses the entire text can be used, like can you change the entire piece based on the readability of the text? How will a high readability you know, text will sound like as opposed to a you know, low readability text? And now I will shut up.
We didn't actually do it, but Esteban was going to play Blue Baby Spuddle as a children's text to compare with the abstract that we used at first to demo Singling.
Yeah.
And the abstract, of course, is unreadable. And Blue Baby Spuddle is a good deal more readable, at least for me. So anyway, we missed that opportunity, but next time we'll put that in, right, Esteban?
Anthony, you've got a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you see me or can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm gobsmacked by the whole process and completely mystified by what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the ways in which, where you're headed with this kind of work and what you see it possibly revealing, you know, on something like a Chomskyan deep structure in language or some structural patterns that we might be able to identify through the sonification that we can't see just by the text on the page. So some speculation or elaboration about where you see this perhaps going in terms of research, language research in particular.
What a great question. And I think there's a lot of different answers because, as I say, part of this is about utility, creating something that we can use as researchers into language and literacy and extracting particular kinds of things and finding particular parameters that we enjoy listening to so we can listen to larger volumes of text for specific features. So although we're using it in a kind of musical context today, we could listen to text just to identify specific things, particular adjectives, particular longer words, if that was something that we were looking for in a text. At readability just got mentioned. We could also be looking just for the use of particular kinds of phrasing. I think maybe, again, Esteban, you want to jump in here? Because we've done a bunch of different building of these databases, which allow us to do more ingrained, in-depth analysis of specific texts, rather than just play them for the earful joy of it all. Esteban, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what we've been doing.
Well, I think your take was really good. What we're doing today was more performative. So in the sense, we're not aiming for a literacoustics approach to it so much, but we have been working on from the databases on how to distinguish nouns, verbs, adjectives, and together with the highlighting function, how that could provide some sort of readability to the text, which we think will be very useful for this kind of studies that we were talking about. We've been adding a lot of things on top of WordNet, things that for us provide a better literacoustics approach to text in a way that, for example, we can tell from modals, for example, which ones are stronger, which ones are more subtle, and how those could be translated into our program. We always get to the point where we're between the aesthetics and the function of the text. So it's an ongoing discussion that we're always having, but yes.
Yes is a good answer. It's a great question, Anthony. You know, we have more to discover Hopefully we will find out too as we go. One of the things that I'm enjoying right now are some of the glitches that occur in this beta version. One thing is when you put a poem in and it's reading along by highlighting the different words that it's playing, and it starts to do this thing where it's identifying the same word at multiple places, or it identifies the word within another word. And then it jumps around and it provides a kind of hypertextual reading for you because your eye follows the highlighting. And so it rearranges the poem as you're listening to it in a linear sequence. It rearranges your visual perception of the poem, which also leads to some very interesting sort of enjambment and juxtaposition in your head, because you get these chordal structures from particular words that spark your imagination around where the visual highlighting of the word is occurring. So even though we're really trying to emphasize the kind of unexplored area of data sonification, where data visualization, as everybody knows, is a very well developed field, data sonification is quite far behind. And so this is really an attempt to look at how people within the humanities who work with language, and us in particular working with literacy and digital literacy, can find different kinds of sonic patterns which reveal things about texts that are durational and you can't get from that singularity snapshot of a visualization of an entire text. You get a sense of change of mood over time, which you just can't get from a single visual. So we're sort of learning what the applications of this application are as we go. Any other questions? I think we're within 3 minutes here, so maybe we can take one more question.
Do we have any? Oh, looks like here, Leonardo, I will unmute you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Folks, fascinating stuff. I absolutely love what you're doing. I was going to suggest, I mean, like almost as a way of tuning your ear for this kind of sonification analysis, checking out, I put a link to these NaNoGenMo, National Novel Generation Month texts that tend to have a lot of, obviously a lot of repetition, you know, but it's repetition with variation to try to keep certain interest. And I think that might be a kind of way of kind of tuning, in a way, the instrument, or at least attuning your ears to certain repetitive patterns so that then when you kind of hit the wilder, more deliberate writing that's more probably semantically driven, you know, just a suggestion, just an idea of something else cool to throw into the mix. I mean, I would love to hear, like, I don't know, Gertrude Stein run through this machine, right? Just because she's so jazz-like repetitive in her language structures. So it was just a suggestion and a thank you for an amazing panel.
That's a great comment. Part of it is learning the skill of listening and being able to read by hearing. And what you're saying is absolutely. I think I'm about to go off and dump some Gertrude Stein into Singling and see what happens, because you're absolutely right. She's a great call as far as a text to try out. We use a lot of the overtone thing. You'll find that if we use static or even the mute mode, then it only sounds when something of interest that you've set up as a transformation occurs. So it's either just giving you a pulse that when there's something you want to be identifying in the text, it plays that and it really stands out. So there's ways that we can really simplify or normalize the playback, and then it will only cue you when the thing you're looking for occurs. Of course, with something like Gertrude Stein, I think that has to be the full-on endeavor. She did write, you know, libretto and for full opera and what have you. So she can handle the orchestra hit, I'm sure. So Effium, the orchestra hit, to bring it back. Okay, well, it's been an absolute pleasure to share Singling with you. Again, I'm just going to say quickly, github.com/EYUNG/SINGLING. And you can try out the beta version. We have lots more to do, but we will be releasing a proper 1.0 version in September. So please, let's stay in touch, and we'll happily share the announcement of that with everybody and any other performances we'll be doing. Thank you all for coming to this show.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.